Dusk spills orange across Sparta's stone roofs as sentries march along the Acropolis road, leather boots thudding, spears glinting. Leonidas stands on parapet, jaw tightened, eyes narrowed into the distance. Torches throw long gold bars along marble columns while fishermen whisper of ships on the horizon. Veteran captain points outward, finger trembling, face drawn with worry, bloodless lips forming Persians. An old priest in black wool steps from temple doorway, amber oil lamps clinging to his hands, voice low, dry as he names times and rites, gaze falling on Leonidas. Children gather at the bronze smith's doorway, palms sticky with figs, eyes wide and bright, whispering about a king who walks with heavy stride, cloak snapping, hands open then clenched. Queen Gorgo descends a flight of stone stairs, white robe stained with clay, expression balanced between grief and iron calm, fingers smoothing a child's hair with deliberate patience and resolve. Young Leonidas trains at dawn in a courtyard ringed by cypress, speckled light through branches painting his shoulders. He lifts a heavy shield, mouth set, calves trembling with exertion quietly. An elder general tests recruits under flat morning sun, throws a javelin, barked orders slice the air. Leonidas matches stride for stride, lips thinning, eyes steady with work of learning. A healer pries at a raised scar along Leonidas's forearm by lamplight, her fingers gentle, his jaw clenched, brow wet from sweat and a small, bright flush of fever now. Messengers stagger into the throne room, cloaks torn, eyes rimmed red. A scrap of papyrus flies, letters smudged, the word empire read aloud by a soldier who trembles, face pale. Leonidas stands before the assembly, morning light sharp on his helmet crest, hands resting on shield rim. He breathes, shoulders square, jaw set against a future he does not name. A courier clasps Leonidas's forearm, voice hushed, eyes urgent as he mentions a distant king. Leonidas's fists flex, veins raising, a tight smile passing across his face for a moment. Night falls, men station torches along the city wall, shadows leaping, voices low but steady. Leonidas watches the black horizon, fingers curled on bronze, mouth a hard line of acceptance. A midwife kneels on reed mat in a candlelit chamber, breath visible in cool air, as Queen Gorgo labors, grip white gnarled on her husband's hand, crimson pooling on stone floor. Light from an oil lamp catches the wet newborn's hair, vernix gleaming. Attendants unwrap swaddling, mother's face slack then fierce, eyes bright and fixed on the infant's first cry loud. An old soldier leans on his spear outside the chamber, moonlight cutting his jaw, lips moving in prayer, echoes held in his folded hands in the hush of the corridor. A wet bundle unlocks tiny fists that grip a midwife's thumb, the infant's knuckles white, a silvery sheen of vernix on skin, a scar above the brow like pale line. A tutor lays papyrus on a wooden table, ink tools ordered, while the child's hands reach for letters. The tutor smiles, eyes softened, guiding his fingers across a curved letter. Snow falls on training grounds as boys run between bronze shields, breath clouding, laughter cracking with fatigue. Leonidas slips past peers, hand steady on another boy's shoulder, offering a nod. He wrestles an elder youth under gray sky, muscles straining, sand flying. When pinned, Leonidas grits teeth, shifts hip, rolls free, hand raised not in triumph but searching elder's eye. A priestess touches the child's forehead with cold olive oil by torchlight, murmuring names of ancestors. Leonidas blinks, lips part, a frown of concentration as her hand lingers over his pulse. On a hill overlooking Taygetus, the boy watches shepherds herd goats, dusk a violet smear. He stands straight, jaw set, holding a curved stick like a spear, practicing precise thrusts. At a family supper, elders recite names of Heraclede, flames tossing orange hair, goblets passed. Leonidas reaches for bread, his fingers brushing a bronze ring engraved with a lion's mane. A traveling herald arrives with a painted shield. Villagers gather, cloak hems dusty, sun harsh. The herald places the shield at Gorgo's feet, voice loud as he announces exile today. Moonlit Gorgo holds the infant close on palace steps, wind lifting her robe. Leonidas sleeps, mouth slack, a faint twitch on his brow as if reaching toward something in darkness. Afternoon sun hits the training yard where youth wrestle, bodies coated in dust, coaches shouting. Leonidas parries a spear thrust, teeth bared, sweat beading along his temple as he pivots. An ephor challenges the king in the council room, marble cold under sole, fingers tapping a wooden staff. Leonidas rises, cloak slipping off one shoulder, expression flat, voice firm and measured. A Persian envoy stands before the gate, rich textiles bleeding color in the sun, gold chain heavy on his neck. Leonidas studies his face, fingers curling around spear shaft. Men gather in the agora to hear threats read aloud, voices low rising. Leonidas steps forward, palms open, tucks a curl behind his ear, and answers with measured, steady words. He rides at dawn toward Thermopylae with hardened companions, horses snorting, metal ringing small notes. Leonidas glances at faces beside him, nodding, each jaw clenched in private resolve and duty. Night before march, campfires sputter, men writing letters by imberlite, seal pressed into wax. Leonidas walks between tents, stops by his wife's, lays his palm on her shoulder, eyes steady. At Thermopylae's narrow pass they form a line, shields locking with a metallic clasp, dust and sweat mix in the air, helmets reflecting a harsh white sun, faces straining grimly. A Persian front crashes like a wall of moving color, banners rolling, arrows blotting the sky. Spartan shields meet each blow, wood splintering, iron outlasting cloth as men grunt, push. A comrade falls, blood dark against white chitin, face contorted, eyes half closed. Leonidas kneels, fingers fumbling to clear a mouth, then slams a spear into the ground, breathing hard now. Efforts demand soldiers keep the pass, night meetings behind canvas where maps are lit by oil. Leonidas replies with a single hand gesture, a line drawn in sand, motions final. The Greek allied commanders argue in a circle, faces flushed, fingers stabbing air. Leonidas stands silent, helmet off, hair damp, voice low when he speaks, each word weighed and direct. On the third day, the Persians advance in thicker ranks, sun unrelenting. Leonidas screams a command, his voice cracking, fierce, and the Spartans push forward, shields bright streaks against dust. Arrows black in the air as darkness falls across the pass, quivers emptying. Leonidas steps forward, shield high, cloak whipping, breath shallow, muscle taut, cheeks drawn tight across his face now. A scimitar tears a gap in the line, men tumbling, cries sharp as stone. Leonidas swings a blade twice his size, hair matted, forehead streaked with blood and dust now. He stumbles, knee buckling into gravel, hands scraping earth. A young helot pulls him down, face taut with urgency, while Leonidas grips the helm, teeth clenched against a howl now. Soldiers surround him, hands slick with blood as they lift him upright, armor buckles fumbling. Leonidas presses palm to a friend's shoulder, voice thin but clear, offering a short order. He points toward the narrow pass with a shaking arm, eyes burning despite fatigue. The captain nods, helmet tipped back, throat working as he repeats the command to rank steadily. An arrow pierces Leonidas's shoulder, splintering bone, men around him howling. He catches the shaft with fingers, rips it free, blood spattering helmets, then laughs briefly, a harsh, sudden sound. He drops his shield and lifts a fallen standard over his head, muscles shaking, eyes wet. Men push forward behind that silhouette, breathing as one, feet clawing at rocky soil. A final charge collides, bodies tumbling like thrown pottery, metal shrieking. Leonidas swings, takes a mortal cut across his abdomen, knees folding, a hand pressed where blood pours, face white. He collapses against a crumbling wall, breath ragged, eyes finding those he loves. Wife kneels, fingers trembling as she pulls his helmet free, face streaked with ash, tears falling now. He whispers a name to a young soldier, hand clamping the man's wrist, voice gone gravelly. The soldier nods, swallowing, eyes burning, then shoulders straighten to carry him forward now. They lay his body on a slab beneath torchlight, priests cutting his hair, oil poured from a bronze jug. Men hold their breath, faces wet, hands moving in silent rites. At dawn a sculptor chisels his likeness in white marble at the sanctuary, hammer striking steady, crowd watching. A child touches the fresh dust, eyes wide, imitating the king's posture. A funeral pyre burns on a cliff above the sea, flames lifting linen and oak, smoke spiraling toward a blue sky. Soldiers stand silent, helmets under arm, faces lit orange. The ship returns to Sparta bearing charred beams, men in ragged cloaks, a flag trimmed in black. Queen Gorgo meets them, hand pressed to chest, lips moving, no sound escaping. At the tomb, a stone is raised and hammered into place under noon sun, chisel biting marble, dust falling like pale rain, an inscription carved with strikes, each letter deepened. A teacher in the gymnasium reads the inscription aloud to boys lined by wall, bronze spears leaning against stone. The boys echo the name, lips forming syllables with slow care. A young man polishes a bronze shield at the forge, sparks skittering, muscles tensed. He runs a palm along an engraved crest, eyes closing briefly as if promising himself something. Pilgrims climb to the sanctuary, sandals dusty, baskets full of figs and oil. A woman kneels to place a wreath, hands steady, face wet with sweat under the midday sun. A sculptor smooths the marble face in the public square, cloth wiping dust from his brow. Townsfolk pause, fingers tracing features still warm from the chisel, expression moving with reverence. Fishermen point toward the open sea where columns of sails march, children imitating warriors with wooden swords, laughing. Elders watch, lips tight, then smile barely, hands folded in their laps. A veteran recounts the last moments to young men at dusk, lamp dim. He traces a battle line with gnarled finger, eyes wet, voice steady as he names the fallen. Artists paint murals in the market depicting the pass, pigments mixed, blue and red furrows forming shields and figures. Women shopkeepers pause, hands on cloth, following strokes with their gaze. Seasons turn, boys train at dawn, shields ringing against shields, breath clouding the cold air. And man's voice calls cadence, children fall into step, faces set, muscles learning to hold. A woman in the agora turns to the viewer and speaks plainly. He chose a narrow passage when wider roads promised safety, she says, palms open, eyes steady, urging remembrance.
Apotheosis, where men become gods.